Okay, so that's done. Not the most efficient method, admittedly, but it doesn't have to be. One of the beautiful things about having a homestead is it's just for myself. So as long as I can grow enough for me, that's what matters. And it's more about enjoying the work and the satisfaction of just doing it myself. My whole goal today was to move these compost bins from behind the greenhouse to this garden. And boy, I went down a rabbit hole getting there. When I first moved here, I chose the location behind the greenhouse for the compost because I want it very close to the house so that it's really accessible and easy for me to get to. That worked absolutely fine until I got my German Shepherd. And once I got him, he started digging into my composts, making a huge mess, and I had to barricade them all off to keep him out of them. What that meant was that they were completely inaccessible. So over the winter, it was really hard for me to compost, and I needed to find a better solution. I do have animals that I can feed my scraps to, but there are some things that just need to go into a compost. And so now I'm set up for this year. The first thing I had to do was prep the garden to receive the compost. So if you want to hang out with me and prep a garden with compost and mulch and cardboard, stick around. Hey guys, it's Katie Kate on the Homestead. It's a beautiful day here today, and I thought I would start to prep this garden bed for planting. I'm going to use cardboard, soil, compost, and mulch. And so with the magic of time lapse, I thought I'd take you along for the ride. There's this morning's mouse casualty. I bought this cool hand tiller garden aerator when I first moved here, and I like it a lot. So the first thing I'm going to do is get in and just try to turn this over a little bit. My neighbor does have a gas-powered small tiller that I do want to borrow at some point, but today we're doing it by hand. It's labor intensive, but it's fun. And there's something just special about doing it by hand, old school. I need to take a break. I might have to put some shorts on. It's really hot out here. My neighbor was over yesterday and he mentioned these spots to me and asked me if I was responsible for them. And I told him no, I thought it was my dogs. But he's suggesting that this looks like a skunk or a raccoon maybe digging for grubs. So I'm gonna have to keep a close eye on this area. I'm changed and hydrated, so I'm ready to get this done. I pitched his kill under this tree, but he found it and he's making a meal of it. I'm halfway done. It's not a very big garden. Okay, so that's done. Not the most efficient method, admittedly, but it doesn't have to be. One of the beautiful things about having a homestead is it's just for myself. So as long as I can grow enough for me, that's what matters. And it's more about enjoying the work and the satisfaction of just doing it myself. It's also free because I'm not paying for any fuel to power any machinery, just my own muscle, so that's pretty great. I'm really ticked off about this boot. I'm gonna have to put some contact cement or something on it. The next thing I'm gonna do is lay down some cardboard. This will be the second treatment that I've done since I moved here. This was a garden area, but it was all grown over, and a couple years ago, when I first moved here after the fire, I was displaced, and one of the projects I gave myself to preoccupy myself was to hand weed this garden. So I did that a couple years ago. At that time, I had intended to make it a garlic bed, but I dropped the ball on that. But I did do the cardboard treatment just for some weed prevention. Then I did bury a couple of animals here. So I buried one of my rabbits here, and I also buried my rooster, Peter, who was killed in the raccoon attack, and one of my hens in this garden. Last year, I just grew a couple of cannabis plants in here, and I'm not exactly sure what I'll grow in here this year, but I'm getting it ready. I installed this fence last year for the bunnies, really, when I still had them. And so it's not dog proof, but Chase, my big German Shepherd, who is out on his own, his collar doesn't allow him to reach this area, so it'll keep him out of it. So I went and grabbed some cardboard. That's my next step. I'm going to just lay it down before I add the compost and the soil. So all of this cardboard is non-glossy. There's no plastic tape on it and no metal staples in it. The Walmart and Costco boxes are really, really great for that. This computer box I had to go bring out, and it had a lot of packaging and tape and things on it. So I'm just stripping that off before I put it down. Clearly I have mice in my outbuilding. You see all the droppings. So here's my free weed barrier laid down. Next thing, I have to soak this. And I'm a bit torn whether I should soak it with the hose or whether I should use what's in my 2 rain barrels, which is old turtle tank water from last fall and all the rainfall and snow melt off. And I'm kind of inclined, because it's not a big area, to do it by hand, although it's going to take a lot longer. But I think I will empty the rain barrels. That will open them up for when I need to clean my turtle tank, which is also kind of on my top priority list. So I'm going to soak these by hand. The other thing is, hopefully we're going to have a lot more rain before I actually get to planting this. So that's my plan. Before I start that, I'm going to go around the outside of this fence and just weed it by hand. Just all of the mulch where I didn't want to hit it with the weed whacker last year. So I'm just going to throw that in. Okay, so I've gone around the outside edge of this fencing and just hand weeded all the overgrowth that I didn't get with the weed whacker last year because I didn't want to hit the fence. Obviously this mulch is going to be a lot of what I use in this garden. I'll probably have to get a little bit more from my pile over there. I just remembered one more thing I want to say. I know the rule is to not disturb mulch and dead growth before May because of all the insects hibernating and nesting in it, but technically I'm just displacing it. It's not like I'm bagging it up and taking it to the curb. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm really just moving it around. Okay, so that didn't take as much time or water as I thought it would. So that part is done, which means all the prep work is done so I can do what I originally wanted to do today, which is relocate these composts. But first a break and a snack and some water. It's chilly when you stop moving. I just realized that I have to lay the mulch before I lay the compost, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. Well, I ran out of mulch, and the pile that I wanted to get into is mostly branches. So I think I'm gonna finish mulching with old, just moldy straw from the feed barn. Okay, that's done. Funny enough, it looks almost exactly like it did when I started. I wish I'd taken a better before picture, but I am ready to move my composts. I have 3 composts here on the back of the greenhouse. This is one that I made myself. It's just a tote with holes drilled in the sides and the top and the bottom. I have this black one here with the wheelbarrow on top to keep the dog out. And then I have this 3rd one, which again, the lid is flipped over and I've got bricks in it because the dog was digging into it. So I think the first one I'm gonna start with is this homemade compost because it'll be really easy to just pick up that bin and bring it right into that garden. Okay, so obviously the top of this compost is not ready yet, so I'm just going to remove that and place it in my new compost area and just lay what's underneath. This is another old garden bin that I had back in the city that I have been using as a makeshift compost while the other ones have been all boarded up. So I think I'm going to try to knock the bottom out of this and actually set it up. It'll be perfect in that area. And then, as I said, any compost that isn't ready, I can just load up into this. Okay, so I couldn't knock the bottom out, but it doesn't really matter because it's not like it's airtight. I'm not loving how this compost is looking right now coming out of this bin. So I've just emptied it into this bigger bin and I'm gonna let this cook for a while longer before I try to use it. So now I'm gonna try to tackle one of these. I think I'm gonna go for this one first and see what that compost is looking like inside. Okay, so this compost is looking a lot more cooked. It's really helpful to have an open bottom on the compost. 2 of mine do, 2 of mine don't. Obviously, it is better, but I had the closed bottom composting system when I lived in the city, and I kind of carried it out here with me, but definitely open bottom for processing faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and spread some of this around. This compost I've laid down is obviously a lot more cooked and ready to go, looking a lot more like some nice rich soil. And those bins are working nicely, tucked behind this outbuilding, fenced in and out of the way. I think this is going to be a much better place for my compost bins. This batch is also looking a lot more cooked, but again, coming from an open bottom compost, which is much better. Okay, so that's all raked out nicely. I was going to do a layer of soil from my garden on top of this, but now I'm thinking I don't want to do that because it's just going to be full of weeds. So I'm going to wait and probably pick up a couple of bags of topsoil just to sprinkle over. And in the meantime, I think I'm just going to go grab a bit more straw and cover this compost really lightly. So I did dig out a bit of this compost earth because it is weed-free, and I'm gonna fill this hole in with some bramble and some old straw. So it was helpful to dig out some of this bramble from the past couple years where I've been storing it. I filled in this area, I laid straw, and then I laid some boards, and all those field stones that I moved yesterday worked perfectly here, just to weight down the area while it heals up. And I'm calling this a day. It's gotta be 4:30 in the afternoon and I'm ready to go split some kindling so I can have a fire and just get cozy and start relaxing for the evening. It does look like it might rain and there's a chill in the air, so I really think I'm gonna wanna have a fire tonight. I'm only gonna split what I need for tonight because it's getting warmer. It hasn't been freezing overnight. I haven't had any heat on in the house all day and it's been 64 degrees in there Fahrenheit. So I'm just gonna split a bit of kindling. I think that's enough to get both fireplaces going if I want to. Okay, well that's it. I'm done for the day. It is 4:30. It's getting a bit chilly, feeling a bit damp. Time for me to wrap things up. But I'm really happy with the project that I got done today. Of all the things that I could choose to do, that was what I was most motivated to tackle today, and I got it done. I have decided to leave the cleaning of the barn, the cleaning and sterilizing, the whitewashing, until I can get them out into the pasture, just because it'll be so much easier for me to do if they're not in there. And it's just way too sloppy to do that right now. So I've put that on the back burner. I do want to clean my turtle tank. That's something I have to do now that I can get the hose out in this weather. So that's on kind of my top priority list. And other than that, just working away every day, finding something fun and meaningful to do. So if you've stuck around till the end of the video, thanks a lot. And until next time, happy, healthy living. I'm Katie Kate on the Homestead, and I'll see you later.